Well, welcome back. This week, we're looking at the final step, step 12. It says, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. I think this verse from Mark says it well. Go to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how much He has had mercy on you. When something this powerful has happened in your life, this awakening, this freedom, how could we possibly keep it to ourselves? God makes it clear that this message isn't just for us. Jesus said, we are the salt of the earth, the light of the world, not a hidden lamp, but a light that shines for all to see. Not so people praise us, but so they give praise to the Father. That's the call, to let His goodness in us point people toward Him. Jesus Himself stood in the synagogue and read the words of Isaiah. The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because He has anointed me to preach good news to the poor, to proclaim freedom, to release the oppressed. And then He looked at them and said, today, this scripture is fulfilled in your hearing. That's why He came, to bring good news, to bring light. And if we're walking in His footsteps, then we carry that same mission forward. Paul reminds us of something sobering in the book of Romans. Everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. But how can they call on the one they haven't believed in? And how can they believe if they haven't heard? And how can they hear unless someone tells them? And then it says, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. That's the invitation. That's the vision, that our lives would be the good news someone else desperately needs. But how do we do that? How do we carry the message? It starts simply. We share the story of what's happened in us. The spiritual awakening, what we've seen, what we've experienced, what God has done. Sometimes it takes a painful situation to change our ways, and for many of us, that pain has become the very place where God's mercy showed up. Some of us were brought to our knees. Some of us ran out of options. But when we cried out, God met us there. And I get it. It's hard to be honest about that stuff. Our knee-jerk reaction is to keep it hidden. We want to forget the mess, not talk about it. But God doesn't waste pain. In fact, He often uses our pain more powerfully than our success. He turns messes into ministry. Pain gets our attention, and it often becomes the very thing that wakes us up to our need for Him. So we tell that story, not with pride, but with honesty. We tell people what life was like before Christ and what it's become since. That's all it takes. Some people in your life group tonight might believe they're the only one with problems, that the rest of us have it all together. And there are thousands more who never even walked into a church because they think, well, they have to get cleaned up first. But the truth is, we're all a mess. We all need grace, and we've all got to get that message out. This isn't about pretending. This is about saying, come with me. Let's figure this out together. So think about it. Have you shared your story lately? Who in your life needs to hear about what God's done for you? The second piece of carrying this message is being open about the lessons we've learned. One of the biggest lessons I've learned over these weeks is just how much I depend on God. More than I realized, I've also learned how much I need other people. So many of us have come to the same place. We've run out of strength and finally realized that God is all we've got, and that's when we learn He's enough. Some of you have walked through illness, divorce, financial ruin, and when someone else walks through the same thing, your voice of experience and hope means more than any sermon. So what have you learned about God in your journey, and who might need to hear it? Another lesson we can't ignore is that we need each other. We were never meant to do this alone. The early church knew that. They shared life. They broke bread. They prayed together. They supported each other through the hard things. That's what real church looks like, and we need it. People who will love us even when they know the truth about us. People who will tell us the truth even when it's hard to hear. Do you have those people in your life right now? If not, are you willing to take a step toward that kind of connection? And then, finally, there's this. We practice the principles. We live what we say we believe. It's not flashy. It's not complicated. It's just real. We live in a way that's consistent with what we've learned. On Sundays, sure, but especially during the week. That's how people see Jesus in us. Not when we say right things, but when we actually live them. The truth is, people are watching. And the world has seen plenty of hypocrisy. What they need to see is humility, authenticity, not perfection, but progress. And if we'll live out what we believe, if we'll carry this message with honesty and grace, it becomes a fragrance, something beautiful. Paul said, "Now wherever we go, He uses us to tell others about the Lord and to spread the gospel like a sweet perfume." So here's the question. Where's God asking you to carry this message? Who in your life needs to hear that they're not alone, that there's grace available, that someone sees them, loves them, and wants to walk beside them? As we reflect on this week, I want to invite you to consider a few things with your group. Who needs to hear your story? What God has done in your life? What lesson have you learned during these steps that might just be what someone else needs to hear? What's one way you've seen your need for other people more clearly? And what's one practical way you can live out these principles in your everyday life? Maybe it's just an invitation. Would you come to church with me? That's all it takes sometimes. Statistics show that the majority of people who come to church for the first time come because someone invited them. Not because of a program, not because of a flyer, just an invitation. So as we close, I want to ask you to pray. Ask God to show you who needs the message. Ask Him to bring their name or face to your mind. Ask Him for the courage to speak up and then go. Carry the message. Share your story. Live the principles and trust that God will do the rest.